Hello, I'm Dr. Larry Carnes. Welcome to Spotlight TV. We're excited that you joined us today, and we have a very special guest with us. We're going to be speaking to Mr. Wayne today, and Mr. Wayne is going to be covering something about this exciting book that his late wife wrote. Mr. Wayne, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Awesome. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Introduce yourself to our viewing audience and tell them a little bit about who you are.
Sure, I'm Kenne Wayne, and I'm a retired aerospace engineer. I used to work for Boeing Aircraft Company.
Wow, aerospace engineer, retired. Wow, that's powerful. I'm sure you dealt a lot with structures and the strength of structures and things of that nature when you're dealing with aircraft. That's an exciting career. We want to really talk about this book that your late wife wrote, and to compliment you. Thank you for taking the time out to speak about the book and to share the book with us. I was looking at it, found this to be quite interesting. The book talks about this guy, Carlton, who gets laid off from his job after 11 years.
Right.
Decides to take a bike ride, a road trip on his bike. Yeah. And runs into some very interesting people who he's not aware of to begin with. And so that introduction takes a wrong turn. As some things happen, he runs into this group of people. They're robbed, they've raped, and he ends up losing his memory. And it's just a thrilling and exciting adventure. Talk to us about the book and share this very interesting and exciting story with our viewing audience.
Well, it was fun to write. I helped my wife out with it, and I kind of gave her some ideas about how the layoffs and all that kind of stuff works. I personally was never laid off myself, but had plenty of coworkers that were laid off, downsized. We went through a few phases of that ourselves at Boeing. Sure.
Okay. So now, give us some insight into the book. So this guy gets laid off after 11 years. So he's going to go, he's going to unwind, if you will. So he jumps on his bike, his 750, packs all of his stuff, and begins to take this road trip. He meets some escaped convicts who, of course, he's not aware that they are escaped convicts. So just navigate that. Give us a little introduction into that and how this whole concept of the book panned out in you assisting your late wife in writing this book.
He decides to get off the road and relax, eat some dinner or whatever, and he finds this little bar and bar and grill, I guess you'd call it, and he sees a pool table, and he goes over and he's watching these guys play pool.
Okay.
And he says, "Hey, can I join? Can I play?" And they says, "Yeah, put your money down on the table there. Your coins or whatever, right? And so they let him play, and they let him win a few games, and then they accuse him of like being a, what do you call it, like a
pool shark.
Yeah, a pool shark. And so they take him outside, and fight whatever a little bit, and then they steal him and take him away. Oh heck!
So they beat him up. They beat him up.
Yeah.
They rob him, and then they dump him someplace.
Sure. Yeah, that's right. They dump him out. They steal a van so nobody could identify the vehicle that they were in, and they're driving on this highway, and there's this turnabout somewhere. The driver slows down, and they push him out the side of the van, and he starts rolling down this hill, and some people witnessed this, and and there was just happened to be a ambulance behind him, and the ambulance pulls over, and so they were taking somebody else to the hospital at the time, and so the attendants take care of him, and he ends up going to the hospital, and because he's at this point he's unconscious because he falls off the bike. Oh, well, he was drugged too, and they told him, if you hurry, you might get to the hospital before you die or whatever, right? They don't even know what they gave him, as previously they stole some drugs from this drugstore, and like I said, they don't know what they have, and they gave him some kind of experimental drug that is psychotic drug or something like that, right? And and they gave him like too much,
Yeah.
and so he gets amnesia, and that could have been caused by the bumps on his head too and whatnot. The guy was during the fight and stuff, but anyways, so at first he doesn't know who he is, and in the feds, they realized that this place was robbed, and he had some of the drugs in him that was stolen. And
so let me recap this for you. So he meets these escaped convicts in a bar. He starts to shoot pool, and they think he's a hustler. He's a pool shark.
Right. Yeah.
But they're actually setting him up.
That's right. Yes.
They carry him outside. They beat him up. They throw him in a van that's stolen because they want to conceal their identity. They're on the run anyway.
Right. Yes.
They're driving, so they come to a place where they slow up and they throw him out of the van.
Right. Yes.
Fortunately, there's an ambulance following, and so he's seen. So the ambulance picks him up, and they're going to transport him to the hospital where he can get some care.
Right. Yes.
In the meantime, they've given him these drugs that they stole, where they broke into a pharmacy, and these hallucinogenics have him just all over the place. You don't know who he is, and apparently they gave him an overdose.
Right. Yes.
Now he meets this group of people. I remember looking in the book. He meets this group of people who are going to be able to help him, as I was looking in the book. But now I noticed that you said that they provide some type of mystical advice, some intervention to his problem. Take up from there and share a little bit of that with us.
Okay. My wife is kind of fancy. She kind of we call it. She's kind of interested in that psychic energy and stuff like that. So that's he meets these people, these girls who are work at this hospital, and they're twins, and they have this ability to communicate, telepathically, so to speak, right? And they figure out he's a nice guy, despite the way things look, right? And they figured they were going to help him, and so yeah, they help him out, and he eventually, after a few days, starts. Well, they find his bike, where they actually, one thing the book really didn't cover was they went back. The bad guys went back and got his bike, and anyways, they get him on his bike after they give him the drug, and send him on his way to the hospital. He says there's a hospital about 3 miles from here, and if you hurry up, you might make it and live. And so he really doesn't make it. He spins off. He goes down this cliff. It's not a real steep cliff, but he jumps off the bike actually, and the bike goes down the hill, and he gets kind of rescued by this big dog, that was nipping at him and grabbing his pant legs and whatnot and slowing him down on his descent down the hill. And the dog just happens to belong to a police officer who happened to be there as well. She was walking the dog at the time. And of course, the ambulance shows up because they're, just a few hundred yards behind him. And they help him out. And they eventually, they get him to the hospital. And the story kind of picks up from there, where they try to figure out who he is. And eventually they find the bike. And the bike is a few miles away, where we don't really cover it in the story. Anyways, they take him and they drive. That's why, like, the bike is this was after he crashed the bike, right? And that's when they take him and then throw him out the side of the van somewhere else.
Okay.
And,
Wow.
And that was that's where the story kind of picks up, where the ambulance picks him up, takes him to the hospital and whatnot, and they do their they test his blood and whatnot, find out that he's got these drugs in him, and
so that's quite an interesting story. We have just a couple of minutes left. It goes on and on and on. Share with us contact information if people want to contact you. We know that the book's available on Amazon. We have about 1 minute. Share with us, with our viewing audience, please, contact information.
Okay. Sure. Contact me is dchasny@yahoo.com. That's spelled. Pardon?
Go ahead. Yes.
DCHASNY@yahoo.com.
Awesome. dchasny@yahoo.com. And for those who are interested in getting this book, I'm sure it's a very interesting read. And as you continue to share with us, it takes a twist, because now I found out that he did get back to the club to get his bike and started to ride that bike, and then had an unfortunate mishap. And then we see how the ambulance sees him, the dog, and all of those things began to fall into place. Such a powerful, powerful, powerful read. And once again, we congratulate you on seeing that the vision of your late wife writing the book, and the efforts that you've taken to make sure that this story gets out to the public, that they have access to it. I know it's available on Amazon because I've gone there. I've seen it, did a review of it, and we thank you so much for sharing with us. This has been Spotlight TV. We thank you we've had Mr. Wayne on here. He shared a book that his late wife wrote. If you're interested, go to Amazon, and then, of course, he gave you the email address. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Dr. Larry Carnes. We look forward to seeing you on our next broadcast. Thank you, Mr. Wayne. Have a great day, sir.
Great. Thank you. Bye.